The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien coming to you live from TFNN, 9:06 a.m. Monday morning. We got 24 minutes to go until the start of trading, and we've got markets right near record territory in terms of the S&Ps right now. You make a high on the futures. Last night at about 6 p.m. Eastern time, we'll zoom in on the action on the S&P futures. Right now, we're negative, less than a point. We'll call it 1 point to be exact on the session. You see where we opened up 6 p.m. Eastern time last night. You jump a few points to 43.65. Actually got over the high print for the S&P in the final 10 minutes of Friday action. We get back at that level at about 7:45. Then you actually trade down about 20 points. You begin to run to higher territory about 7 a.m. this morning. We're back, basically call it flat in the S&Ps at 43.58. Tech stocks, yet again, I just went over some of the tech stocks in terms of Amazon, Microsoft, Apple going to open at a record all-time high this morning. We got NASDAQ 100 up more than 0.4%. You have to chuckle. I mean, my goodness, the acceleration, you put it on a 3-year weekly, right? This thing just doesn't stop. There's your COVID collapse. My goodness, folks, you back this all the way up. We're going to extend that to the left. Where that channel lies, just a remarkable run. When you look at the NASDAQ 100, when you come into the end of 2018, was under 6,000. We're approaching 15,000. You just put it back on a 5-year daily to encompass the full COVID collapse. You go from a price point prior to COVID, February of 2020, under 10,000. You make it to 7,000. We're more than 100% up from that price level, 14,876. And really, this channel line, whoops. Oh, how do we get out of there? Uh-oh. Maybe down like that. What did I just pull up? All right, nonetheless, channel line really defined when you begin from November 1st. That run in the NASDAQ 100 sitting at about 11,000. We're now trading up there at a price point of 14,877. All right, Dow. Getting back to some short-term charts, 15-minute basis. Dow right now negative by about 94 points. We're trading at 34,657. Bitcoin, pretty tame action. In terms of ending where we started the weekend at 33,620. We were approaching 35,000 at one point, though. And we'll jump to the commodities. You got gold right now up about, down $7, up, though, from about 1,800 where it was trading at this morning. We'll jump to crude. Negative $1 on the dot at 73.55. All things considered, that's still a relatively high price for crude. You put it up on a daily in terms of what we're talking about with crude. The run in November for crude began at $33.64. The only real pullback we had was, I guess you take a look at where we were in March, where you go from about $68, you drop to a price point of $57, and then you just take off topside. We've been consolidating basically above $70 now since about June 21st. That was quite a bar where we go from $70, $78 to $73, and we've been stuck in there, but you really got above $70. You back it up to about June 15th. So we're going about a month. Been hovering around $70. Remarkable. About a month we've been above $70 in the price of crude. We'll jump over to the VIX this morning. Volatility index. We're trading at a price point of 1668. You see a series, folks, lower lows, lower highs. Just zooming in wherever we want to start. 1410, you back it up. 1425 was the low on July 2nd. We make a high on July 8th of 2129. I got this spread out a little bit. We'll activate that. That's jumping over to this high right here. This 2182 is jumping over to this high, depending on where you spread out the chart. As you see, folks, lower lows, lower highs across the board. Yet again, that happens as we make a 14 handle coming into July. First time we've had a 14 handle in the VIX post-COVID, and then you make a 2129 high, lower than the 2182 high we had just recently on June 21st. And just like that, we're back to basically a normal VIX, as in a historical norm of about $16 and change. Right now, you get the VIX trading at 1667. As we come into bank earnings this week, we'll talk about those a little bit later in the program. But first time, we're going to have some big bank earnings. We'll jump around. Why not? Let's take a look at how some of those banks are trading this morning. We got J.P. Morgan down a bit, 154.75. Now, all of them have had a little bit of a haircut from when we the market really thought that we were on our way to 2% yields. Market says not so quickly. You might have to deal with yields of about 1.35% for the time being. JP Morgan trades a bit lower to 155.75. You look where we're trading at, you're going all the way back to about a 5-month consolidation on JP Morgan, back to late February prices. But keeping in mind that this thing really accelerated as we got market acceleration. November, you're trading at $95 JP Morgan. Bank of America shares, pretty similar territory. You back it up, not quite to where we were in February, but we got Bank of America back to basically March prices. March 18th, thereabouts. We're trading at about almost $40. We're back to that area this morning. Bank of America looks to open basically flat, but man, yeah, it really accelerated. You were at $23 coming into November 1st. We'll pull up Citi. Citi trading at $68. Same thing, back to actually January prices for Citi. Wells Fargo is their own animal in terms of what they're dealing with, but a little bit more volatility as they've more than doubled the price from 20, but I'd be careful of Wells Fargo. They're their own animal dealing with their own woes there. Morgan Stanley, they're going to be coming out right near all-time highs. A little bit of a different story there when you talk about Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs, 371, highs of 393. But as you see, a little bit of a divergence, right? We got JP Morgan back to February prices. We got Bank of America back to January prices. We got Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley within reach, basically, of all-time highs that we made in the last couple of months. And we'll break down. We get them all beginning Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of this week for earnings. All right, what else we got going on? Jumping around to some of the headlines. So you got the ECB's Lagarde out there this morning. She was with the Bloomberg television in Venice talking about July policy shift 2022 transition. All things considered, they were talking about in the den, talking about Mark with a great quote out there. This is not the time to talk about scaling back bond purchases. That is ECB Chairperson Lagarde. And as they put it, rightfully so, normally that statement would cause some market reaction. Not today. That's the expectation, folks. Not the time. That is just basically the creed from central bank chairmen and women out there saying not the time to scale back. The market is listening. Quite a resurgence in some of the growth stocks we've seen. You pull up the NASDAQ 100. I mean, this thing from 13,000 on May 12th, we're going to be pushing 15,000, folks. You're adding 2,000 points. You're talking about basically a 15% pop in 2 months in the NASDAQ 100 in an index that has been on a one-way rocket ship. I mean, look at this. You're talking about from this point on this chart, 13,000, you get a 15% pop in this index in the period of about 2 months after you've already risen from a price point of 6,600. You've almost done a double banger to 13,000. Then you pop 15% from there. But you look at the trend line, all right? We put this thing on a daily. You back things up. Again, really defined from November, okay? But you look, the series of lows match it up. Just missed the low back in September, but we got a low in November. We got a low in March. We got the lows in May. We accelerate from those lows. We got tops in the same scenario. The top in September, correlating right to the top in February. And if we're hitting the top of this channel, we're going above 15,000 in the NASDAQ 100. Seems all but natural that we might make that run. All right, what else we got going on? Let's jump around to some of the other stories out there. And why not the story of the weekend? Richard Branson going to space. The way that CNN covered this, if you were able to check it out, I'm sure it was broadcast across the board. Almost comical, the level of excitement. It is exciting. Science is exciting for sure. But they had reporters barely being able to maintain their breath, having a pause to maintain their composure over the amount of excitement, like we had just landed on the moon. Not quite comparable in my scenario. Still pretty cool. Branson goes to space. He's the first one. He beats Musk and he beats Bezos. But nonetheless, we'll see how that goes. And stay tuned, folks. We're going to get a break coming up, and we'll come back right after the break.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter, a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Are you looking for a way to consistently add winning trades to your portfolio? Tom O'Brien is here to help. Tom O'Brien has been successfully trading markets for over 30 years. A frequent contributor to TD Ameritrade Network and CNBC, Tom O'Brien founded TFNN over 20 years ago to help educate investors just like you. Tom's daily market newsletter, Market Insights, is published every morning when the markets open to give you the competitive informational edge you need to succeed. These newsletters are packed full of Tom's advanced technical analysis and are geared to deliver comprehensive strategies for a successful portfolio. Get Tom O'Brien's newsletter, Market Insights, today and try all of our products and newsletters 30 days risk-free with our money-back guarantee at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
The following is a presentation. With your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Welcome back, folks. Thanks for tuning back in. They got a few tech issues going there in the production booth. Hopefully they get it figured out. But we get the NASDAQ right now leading the way up 60 points. S&P's negative by 1 point. The Dow, a little bit of acceleration. We got negative 101 points right now. Jumping back to Virgin Galactic real quick. Space, they got quite the symbol there. SPCE. You see the pop they had on Branson getting into one of the first test flights out there. It is a test flight, too, is how they're categorizing it. He is not basically a customer. He is on there as part of a test flight. He had some role there of some degree, and he did go through training, all that stuff, but we've pulled back. What I wanted to point out here is that you get into some of the specs in the articles here, okay? And, of course, the stock has had quite a pop recently. We'll pull it up. Shares rise, successful Branson flight. I heard one thing thrown around today, talking about by 2030 that maybe space tourism, the type of tourism travel experiences that they'll be pushing out here might be a $4 billion industry by 2030. Numbers just thrown around, okay? But it's not exactly a broad market in terms of who you'll be servicing. When you start talking about the opportunities for these companies, you're pushing. Now, Virgin Galactic, okay, and I'm sure it varies one by one, whether it's Blue Origin, SpaceX, Blue Origin's Amazon Bezos, SpaceX is Elon Musk. Virgin Galactic is Richard Branson. the company has about 600 reservations for tickets on future flights sold at a prices between $200 and $250. Well, let's just say they're at about 200 because that's quite a range. That's $120 million. Okay, that's all they have right now for future flights, 600 reservations. I don't even know what those have to do with in terms of deposits, right? There might be a 1% deposit. Maybe they only got to put down a couple grand to reserve that or something. I'm not sure at all. Passenger ticket sales have yet to be announced, etc., but might be higher once they actually push it to the public. That would make sense. It would, because it's such a small niche market. But you get over to the valuation. Okay, now this is up to 51. You put this thing back in terms of the run it's had. You were up to 62. You were back to 14 when things looked like it wasn't going to happen. They had to cancel one of their expected test flights. Things got put back on the calendar. Richard Branson announces he's going to jump on that test flight to be the first one to beat Musk and to beat Bezos, and you're back to $50. Well, at $50, folks, you're pushing a valuation right now, okay? You got 240 million outstanding shares. You got a market capitalization of above $12 billion. They only have future sales of $120 million right now. And that's 600 people. I mean, how many people are they putting on each flight? How many flights are they able to push out? You can probably do a flight a day, at least, right? Point being, what happens after that 600, all right? If the whole industry, in terms of space travel, is only a multi-billion-dollar industry in the low single digits by the year 2030, should Virgin Galactic be worth $12.3 billion right now? I don't know. But those are the types of analysis I like to run through. Not quite sure that you're talking about that's the level that they deserve to be at, especially when you look at, I mean, we were just at, whether it was $20, $30, $40, right? Maybe a more realistic value that you might see some appreciation, but when you're at 12.5 billion, hey, who knows what's going to happen? And you can say that for anything, right? Is when stocks behave like this, you have to throw in a, hey, who knows when you're trading these things, because it might just go from 15 to 50, back to 15 yet again. Bezos, he'll be up there in 8 days, July 20th. So that'll be next Tuesday he'll be out there. That'll add some fuel to the fire, putting another press in terms of the media on top of all of it. I mean, Branson's Virgin Galactic, for him to barely be up today, all expectations were there, of course, but the amount of press they got, CNN ran an all-day event like they had just landed on the moon and that Branson was NASA, creator himself. Again, I love science. It was pretty cool. I was watching it, but it was remarkable to see the press that they got over it. Nonetheless, look at the valuation, $12.6 billion. Look at the opportunities that they may have for space travel. Now, you start getting into, NASA contracts and stuff like that. It's a different animal. That's Musk. He has some great things going on at SpaceX, the type of NASA contracts, federal contracts that he's getting. I imagine that Virgin Galactic might be in that market, but if you're just talking about selling seats for $200,000 to go to space for a few minutes, and you're talking about a company valued at $12.5 billion, they've already put in at least $1 billion into this company. Where is the market there for the space travel in the future? I imagine they're going to have to charge at least 400, 500 grand, because there's not going to be that many people over the course of the long haul that are paying for that experience. Maybe it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal. Then what happens if you run through that type of a list? Is that sustainable over the next 5 or 10 years? Are people really going to be able to put up $500,000 to $1 million for a small flight and an experience? Yes, some people are. Very small market, though. And when you run through those people, you're going to be able to run through them again? Are you going to be able to find new people to be servicing when you need 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 customers a year? $12.5 billion their company is valued at, and you're going to have competition. That's the other side of it. You're going to have 2 companies at least for Virgin Galactic, as you're going to have Blue Origin and you're going to have SpaceX competing over there, at least in the coming years, I expect. All right, let's jump through and see what else we got going on. That was Virgin Galactic. We'll jump right to the stocks making moves this morning. Virgin Galactic at the top, as expected. We got Cheesecake Factory. Raymond James upgraded them to an outperform from market perform. Gotta love some Cheesecake Factory. Always just a madhouse in there. They got a great one at International Mall in Tampa. The market is underestimating the comeback for full-service restaurants, and they've fallen about 8% in the last month, probably as things have tamed down in terms of the expectation with the Delta variant. There's Cake. Interesting that you'd be able to get back into that at almost February prices, almost back in January prices. Really got ahead of itself there. Not sure if that was some Reddit action going on maybe, as we got a spike and then a pullback indeed. But you're trading at about $52. We've been in a consolidation between 50 and 65, and they put a price target on it? No, they just gave it a buy in terms of Raymond James upgrading to outperform. And yeah, I mean, it's a tough one to argue against, right? Restaurants in general, getting out and in general, but trends have changed as well, you know, in terms of delivery, etc. Nordstrom. What do we got? Why is that scrolling down? What's going on with my screen there? All right, let's refresh that. Oh, that is that menu. There we go. Nordstrom dipped after the company said it acquired a minority stake in four apparel brands owned by UK fashion house ASOS, Topshop, Topman, Miss Selfridge, and Activewear. They're going to younger consumers. Topshop's the one I've heard about. Somewhat. JWN is their symbol. Going to open barely negative, though. Look at that. Nordstrom, you look at the 15-minute action, and no real reaction whatsoever as they a minority stake in each of them. And as I mentioned, we got bank earnings coming out, and I'll go over these a bit in terms of when exactly. But what do we got? We got JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs are out Tuesday, Bank of America, Citigroup and Wells Fargo on Wednesday. And I think we got Morgan Stanley wrapping things up on Thursday. We'll check those out when we get back as well. Coming into the opening bell, we get the S&Ps negative by 2 points. We'll be back in 3 minutes to the opening bell, folks. Stay tuned.
Are you having fun trading the markets but having trouble finding like-minded individuals to discuss your trading and investment ideas with? Become an apex predator in the trading markets and join the Tiger's Den Trading Room only at TFNN.com. The Tiger's Den is an exclusive trading room where successful traders from around the world come to exchange trades and ideas. Join the den and surround yourself with the sharpest minds in the trading world. Subscribers to the Tiger's Den are also the first to have their questions answered live on air and can privately chat with our TFNN hosts live during their shows. Interact with other Tigers and Tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day. Subscribe to the Tiger's Den risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee and become part of the TFNN trading community. TFNN, educating investors.
You could be making money off the stock market. And if you're already making money off the stock market, you could be making a lot more. Check out TFNN and Tiger TV and get expert investing advice to give you the power to control your financial future. Go to TFNN.com and find the newsletter for you. Whether you're into trading gold, metals, futures, currencies, or options, you'll get advice and analysis to help you seriously get ahead. TFNN also features trading services with a 30-day money-back guarantee for new subscribers, as well as TFNN's Tiger Den Trading Room, trading software, and educational webinars for all trading levels. And make sure you check out Tiger TV for free on TFNN.com or TFNN's YouTube channel for live financial content from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern on market days. Stop watching on the sidelines while other people get rich and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABCs, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got markets open, and we get the S&Ps negative by 1 point to kick things off right near all-time highs. We get the NASDAQ 100 up 56 points right now, 14,870. Highs of last week, 14,883. Dow lagging a bit, off 76, call it 80 points, 34,672. We start the week, though, within a stone's throw with the all-time highs at 35,000 in the Dow. The Russell, a little bit of weakness as well, off about a third of a percent at 2267. We got Bitcoin, 33,385. We got the gold contract negative by $8 this morning at 1802. We get the silver contract down 6 pennies at 2617, catching a little bit of a bid over the last couple hours for silver. And we jump to notes and bonds, driving so much of the action recently. We're looking at a yield right now in the 10-year of 1.346%. Call it 1.35. We'll round up. We got the 10-year positive by 2 ticks right now. The 30 years positive by 7. And then we take a look at the VIX. We're dealing with the 16 handle to begin the trading week at 1667. All right, jumping around to what else we got going on in terms of stocks. Finishing up, we had some of the travel stocks. We'll jump into them. A little bit weakness continued. United, Carnival, they're talking about Boeing, Delta, both traded 1% lower in the pre-market. We'll pull them. There's United, down about almost 2%. There it is. You got Delta Airlines down almost 2% as well. The cruise lines, Carnival, down 2%. Looks like 2% is the number across the board. And Norwegian, down about 2.3% as well. In terms of where we are over in Europe, you got the DAX right now up about 0.2%, the FTSE down 0.2%, Asia overnight, Nikkei up 2.2%, quite a number. Shanghai up 0.6%. Now you pull it up, quite the resurgence in terms of what we're talking about for the Chinese companies doing business in China and trying to push out their paper in the U.S. Didi warns of, I would say so, quote unquote, adverse impact after 25 mobile apps are removed. Quite a week for the Didi executives over there dealing with their IPO and then the storm of regulations coming from the leaders over there in China. Didi warned of negative impact after complying with the Chinese order to remove 25 more apps from mobile stores for violations of data security laws. The cyberspace regulator on Friday banned downloads of the services for quote-unquote serious illegal collection and use of personal information. Probably not what you want to have the Chinese authorities telling you that you're doing over there in China. They included the enterprise version of its core service, as well as apps covering finance and delivery, the whole deal. Didi shares, fell 4.7% in pre-market trading Monday. Are they even lower right now? They're down by 3%. I chuckle because even on Friday with the news coming out, they were higher on Friday. And we are, as traders, assess risk, and there's always an opportunity that you're able to quantify the risk. The level of risk on a share like this, if you're trading super short term, midday, you're trying to catch a trend or something like that, and you have no plans on keeping it, I can understand that. I cannot really understand owning these stocks right now. With the type of pressure coming down from the leadership in China. And it's coming right from the top, folks. There's no way these types of decisions are not being made by Xi himself over there, clamping down on anybody trying to get bigger than the government. Jack Ma's only been spotted a few times over the last 8 months or so. I believe it was November. I was reading about it this weekend, that that whole clampdown began with Ant Financial and Alibaba. Let's pull it up. It's a long time is the point here. Yeah, there it is. It's got to be in November. These gaps are happening here in terms of where the clampdown really began. They were going to push out Ant Financial. That got clamped down. The clampdown extended to Alibaba. Since then, you've lost from 320 to 204. How about that? How about losing over a third of the value? If you're on margin on this stock, you're almost wiped out down to 204 as that landscape changes entirely, folks, in China. I would be very wary. They are not going to allow any company to get too big without basically having the clamp down entirely. And that's going to be something that becomes a problem for those companies. If you are an extension of the Chinese government, which is kind of what these companies are going to turn into now that they've kind of locked it down over there, that's going to weigh on them. To put it lightly, right? They are going to be perceived, and rightfully so, almost an extension of the government. When you get the government clamping down, telling them who can do what, etc., they're all going to be trying to be listed over in Hong Kong, which is not going to be the same as it was over there. It's a different world, folks, and pay attention if you're thinking about any of these equities over there at all. Interesting. So Uber, I have some Uber in my newsletter, Rocket Equities and Options. We're down about 0.5% today so far. Uber has a pretty big stake in Didi, and they got that big stake by seeding basically ground in China They pulled out of China. They took a minority stake in Didi for pulling out of that market completely. And I imagine this is one of the areas. Can you imagine if even Chinese citizens running Chinese companies are unable to operate in a manner that the government finds acceptable? Imagine a company like Uber trying to do that. Probably one of the analyses that they ran, trying to figure out the best course of action for continuing to do business in China. Uber executives probably thought it was the best option to take a stake in a Chinese company that might be able to meander the regulations of a communist regime over there, and even that company is finding it difficult. So pay attention to that in a big way, with Didi shares down another 1.1%. And as I mentioned, I wouldn't be touching this thing overnight at all, because you don't know what's going to happen, folks. I mean, this type of clampdown in the U.S. would send shudders, rightfully so, through the economic world, let alone the equity itself. And you pull up the analyzed tab, I mean, you're still talking about an equity valued at $57 billion. Okay, it's quite the equity indeed, but you're talking about $57 billion, folks, of an equity that's basically going to be controlled by the higher-ups in China. It's something to keep in mind over there. All right, what else we got going on? Talking about news out there with stocks making moves. I mean, yeah, the same story. Well, no, that was the story about China. ByteDance, of course, meeting. They were talking about the maker of TikTok, meeting over there. And what did I have? I had a Walmart story up here talking about their action in Flipkart over in India. Where am I? I'll have to find it over in the next break. Okay. Well, Walmart, let's see how they're trading, because Flipkart, which Walmart has in India, just raised money and pushed it to about a $30 or $32 billion valuation, something like that. Walmart basically flat today. You get the S&Ps back in the green by about a point. Pretty slow action to kick things off. Let's see how some of those FANG stocks are trading in the beginning. Amazon shares up 0.5%. Cannot stop Jeff Bezos. We talk about Apple. Pulling back on the open, actually. We make an all-time high right on the open, 146.32. Always amusing, as I talked about. Got 16 billion shares outstanding. I just pulled it up, right? 16.7? Yeah, 16.7 billion shares outstanding. Every time that thing moves $1, your market capitalization jumping by almost $20 billion over there. The Russell continuing to lag, down about 8 points. The Russell really started the charge back on Thursday, right? As the markets were getting hammered right out of the gate, the Russell accelerated from 2188. You made a high of 2251. And then you charge back to 2280. Now the Russell, putting this on a daily, you're talking about highs back in March of 2366. You're about 100 points from that level. The Dow been struggling to get up there. Got pretty close a couple times. You got to go back to May, 35,000. You look where we are. We were almost up to that level in June. Got basically right to where we are right now. Right, we're coming up to an area that has been resistance, and the Dow pushing about 35,000. Even when we got above 34,800, it was only for a tail. On that day, on May 10th, we actually closed out the session at 34,635. We opened at 34,722, touched 35,000, and pulled back down. Basil Chapman, he loves those round numbers. We're going to be talking about Basil because he's got a webinar coming up Wednesday, folks. 2-part, multi-day educational webinar on the front page of TFNN. We'll talk about when we get back. Stay tuned.
Are you in the market for buying or selling real estate in the Bay Area, including the surrounding St. Petersburg, Tampa, and Clearwater markets? Tiger Real Estate LLC is a firm that has extensive experience in the Tampa Bay area. Whether you're looking to sell your current property for maximum value, or you're in the market for a second home or investment property, Tiger Realty has the experience across all areas of real estate in the Tampa Bay area to help buyers and sellers make the most informed decisions across all price levels. From the price you should be paying per square foot in certain up-and-coming areas to the type of cash flow investment properties are capable of creating, Tiger Real Estate can help you make the best decision when it comes to all areas of the market. Before you make one of the biggest decisions of your financial future, call Tiger Real Estate LLC today at 727-329-8322 or email us at tiger@tfnn.com. That's 727-329-8322. Call us today.
The technology around us is changing every day. With so much happening, it can seem impossible to keep up with all the information. David White's investment newsletter, The Technology Insider, is designed to give you all the information you need to understand the technology that shapes today's markets and tomorrow's future. David White has made his living staying on the cutting edge of technology. His weekly newsletter will give you specific recommendations for value tech stocks, as well as entry prices, target prices, and stops to set for each trade. Dave delivers his weekly newsletters every Friday with updates throughout the week. You can get the Technology Insider at TFNN.com for only $37.50. Sign up for David's newsletter, The Technology Insider, and get an inside look at everything the technology sector has to offer. Try it risk-free today with our 30-day money-back guarantee. TFNN, educating investors.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. So Virgin Galactic down 11%, folks. They're coming out with a $500 million stock offering. Kind of basically just what I talked about. You know, be careful when you see a run-up like this and you get a valuation like this. And how are you going to make all this money that they just plowed billions of dollars into? And they have basically $120 million of expected sales. Not sure what a deposit is like, reserving a space. They say they get 600 people signed up to pay between $200,000 and $250,000 on the rolls. That's only $120 million, folks. And you're talking about a company that was valued at $12 billion when I was having that conversation. And right now you're talking about a company valued at $10.7 billion right now. Give it 13 minutes of market action, folks. It can be a quick takeaway in some of these equities. Be careful. Doesn't mean the slide is over yet. I talked about that I had heard, and it's going to get talked about in terms of wild analysis. Nobody really knows where space travel is going to be, but the market is not like a market that is for some big tech stock that's just going to explode. You're talking about servicing wealthy individuals who are going up for a joyride, which is great. But you talk about a company that's valued at $10, $20, $30 billion in that industry, when you might only have an industry that's worth only $4 or $5 billion in the next 5 or 10 years. Now, you start combining Department of Defense contracts and NASA contracts, that's a different story. And I'm sure that they're going to be competing for them. Musk has done a good job at that in terms of SpaceX, getting some of those large contracts. But yeah, you see it happen. You see it happen within a matter of minutes of the discussion, folks. They're pushing out $500 million. They're doing the same thing. They're saying, hey, guess what? We need money going forward. We're not exactly going to be a profitable company anytime soon. We're going to issue and sell $500 million in stock following what? The achievement we've all done. We sent our big guy, the leader of the company, Richard Branson, up to space. If not now, when would be a good time to push public paper out to the public? And they do it. Can't blame the management there. As you know, it's a capital-intensive company, folks, pushing people out to space. They've proven they did it. As I mentioned, it doesn't get much better in terms of the press that they got on Sunday. Branson gets ahead of everybody. Just be aware of these stories, folks. You know, are you going to be the one buying at $50 and the lead up from $15 after he goes up to space? You know, I would not have been buying this leading up to see what happens. Who's the people buying this after Branson goes up? Okay, what's the next run of events? And that's exactly, they're coming out there, they're raising money nonetheless. Down about 9% on that story this morning. S&P's catching a little bit of a bid. We're back to up $1 right now. S&P's printing a high of 43.61. We got the NASDAQ up 42 points right now, and the Dow up about 7 points, hanging on to gains. Dow was negative by about 100. And look at that acceleration from 34,620, 34,750, within about 250 points of the all-time highs for the Dow now. All right, jumping around to what else we got going on. And, so let's take a look at Walmart, because that Flipkart deal is out there, actually a little bit lower, down about 0.2% for Walmart shares. We'll jump around some of my favorite stocks. Disney catching a little bit of a bid, up about 0.5%. I mean, some of these equities, I'm going to have an update out from my subscribers later today, put one out on Friday as well. Disney kind of holding steady on that 382 there. If you look at the run it had from November, makes it up to 203. You pull back and test the 382 at a price point of about 170. Really nice to see that area hold yet again on Thursday. I mean, some of these equities, right, when you trade down, we're more volatility than the market. You're going to pop more volatile as well. We popped from under 170. We're pushing 179 on the open. Even if that was just a quick print, you're still up about $7, $8. Uber, similar scenario. Uber pulled back almost 10%. You look at this pullback from 52 down to 46. Just like that, we're back to 49 on Uber. One of the other equities I have in my newsletter, folks, if you want to check it out, front page of TFNN, Rocket Equities and Options. I'll have an update out there later today as well. Everything we do, folks, 30-day money-back guarantee at TFNN. CRM's had a nice run. Salesforce really breaks out of this channel on May 27th. Talk about a breakout in a big way. That was their earnings day, too. Love to come into an event like that, bumping up against resistance, right? You see quite a defined channel line on the upper boundary and the lower boundary for Salesforce. And this thing really got ahead of itself. You got added to the Dow back here, I think it's last year. Then he came out with gangbuster earnings, pushes it to 284. Since then, it's been pulling back, but man, this thing really popped back on May 27th. And an ode to our man Bud Rolfs, the channel master. What do you like to see when you break out of a channel, folks? You break out of it. You want to see it come back and test that channel line and then bounce. And what does it do? It goes from 228. We push a high last week of 253. We've pulled back a bit, trading at 244 for Salesforce, but I like that stock in the long run, folks. Cloud is where you want to be in a big way. Speaking of, Amazon shares up about 0.2%. Talk about an acceleration on this equity. You could be bumping up. I was playing with some trend lines over the weekend. This is a daily. Going back to the lows we had in March, right? Almost lining up where this lower boundary line is. That's an art, not a science, right? Maybe it lines up about here. You take the two tops we had recently. Where do those line up as well? You know, maybe a little bit higher on that equity. Nonetheless, bumping up against the higher boundary. We'll see how Amazon trades. 37.32, though. Quite the run when you were just trading, folks, on June 7th. It's only July 12th. June 7th, you had a 3,100 handle. All right, you're up almost $600 in the price of one share of Amazon over that time. Remarkable, really remarkable when you look at that Bezos got like 50 million plus shares of this company. So you're talking about adding about $30 billion just in the last month to his wealth. Craziness when you start running some of those numbers in a big way. All right, what else we got going on? Talk about numbers for transits. This is an interesting article out here in Bloomberg. If you have friends in the New York City area, folks, especially taking transit, some of them, it is not even close to back to the numbers that they were used to. Subway and trains need a ridership boost before federal aid runs out. So it just kind of talks about here in terms of the numbers that they're dealing with. And the numbers of riders, not quite back even close. I mean, many businesses in that Manhattan area, not quite back to bringing people back. It's showing on the transit when you get into it. Some of the numbers here in terms of how much money that they are pulling in from aid, trying to bring it out. Where are we here? Come on. I want to pull the number because it was like $14 billion or something like that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, 18. Right now, the region's buses, trains, and subways are running courtesy of roughly $18.6 billion in federal aid. If passengers don't return to pre-COVID levels, the agencies will revive doomsday scenarios of mass service and staff cuts. There's no way around it, folks, in terms of there. Only a fifth of workers are back in the offices despite widespread vaccine. Now, I think this is as of late June, this data is. When is this data going to? June 23rd, so we're at least 2-3 weeks. But look at the number we deal with. Only a fifth of workers. You're talking about basically nobody back in business in terms of deep into the city. On June 18th, New York City Subway, Long Island Railroad, Metro North Railroad reported a total of 2.8 million riders, the most since it began, still less than half of the typical load. Empty cars, Long Island Railroad ridership still down by more than half compared to pre-pandemic levels. I mean, there's a lot of variables here in this economy, folks, in terms of what happens when some of these federal stimulus programs disappear, in terms of, you know, what happens on the moratorium of evictions disappears and people have to play catch up on rent, right? We saw California, I think, is going to try and make everybody whole there just because they see the potential for a massive catch-up of problems. And you're seeing it here in some of these charts. I mean, we all hear the stories of Manhattan real estate rebounding and the likes. Doesn't necessarily mean that that will vary, but there's going to be awakening in the transit deal if nobody's coming back, federal aid runs out, and they have to somehow merge the gap between funds and services, and then it becomes a problem. You cut those services, then you just can't bring them back. We'll see. Stay tuned, folks. We'll come back right after the break.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
Markets can rise and fall like the tides. Subscribe to Basil Chapman's newsletter, The Opening Call, and you too can ride the wave. Basil Chapman is an authority in technical analysis. His Chapman Wave trading system has been helping traders identify trends and capitalize on momentum in the markets since 1984. TFNN invites you to test Basil's proprietary Chapman Wave trading methodology with a monthly subscription to the Opening Call newsletter for only $149. Your subscription to the Opening Call comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, as well as daily market updates on key indexes, stocks, and commodities. Ride the wave. Sign up for the Opening Call risk-free today.
Introducing Primal Edge.
Today, it's even more important to take a supplement that complements your health. Primal Edge is specifically formulated to boost your immune system and help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Our early ancestors found all their nutritional requirements in the wild environment. But today, our food sources don't contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that we need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated humic and fulvic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They've been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, without them, life cannot exist.
That's right, Ellen. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge. Just $89 exclusively at TFNN.com.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. Look at this Dow accelerating higher by 79 points. We are low coming into the open. Dow within about 170 points at all-time highs. S&P positive by 2. NASDAQ pulling back a little bit. We're seeing some divergence here. The Dow pushing positive. Tech stocks pulling back a bit. Russell, though, continuing to struggle, down about 0.2%. Folks, we got a lot of action in the market. We got a lot of peaks in this market as we're making record territory across the board. It is a great time to head on over to the front page of TFNN. Our man Basil Chapman, he's not going to be doing his show on Wednesday, folks, because he's going to be in there with attendees to his multi-day webinar, the Chapman Wave Methodology, technical tools based on the Chapman Wave Methodology explained live. He's going to be in there with attendees from 9 till 4:30 p.m. on Wednesday. That's 2 days from right now. All right, now, if you're a subscriber to the Opening Call, you get your next month for the Opening Call for free. If you're not a subscriber to the Opening Call, all right, you gain a free month of Basil's daily newsletter in this as part of signing up for this webinar. Now, I mention it because the webinar is $295. Folks, there is a tremendous amount of value in this course. When you talk about an all-day event from 9 till 4:30, then you get a follow-up event 2 weeks from now from 10 till noon. Included in that, you gain access to his newsletter. Basil's newsletter is $149 alone. So when you think about it, if you were thinking about giving Basil's newsletter a try, if you're already a subscriber, you sign up for $149, you gain access to that. Basically, this course, folks, is less than $150 for the entire 9-hour webinar when you combine just the value of the webinar and the newsletter in there. That's $149. So $295, you get the webinar. That's 9 hours, 2 days. You gain access to the opening call as well. You also gain access to the archive webinars Basil already has in there for subscribers. And all of this will be archived as well. If you can't go to the full day event on Wednesday, you got to skip out for a couple hours. Maybe you're bringing your kids somewhere. That will be archived. If you can't attend for the follow-up on July 28th, that'll be archived as well. I encourage you to check it out, folks. Basil Chapman's coming up next, live at 10 o'clock. You get some time, head on over there, check it out. Basil puts out a great webinar, great newsletter. He put one out on Saturday for his subscribers. He's got one out there this morning. You gain instant access to that, and you'll be in there on Wednesday. I'll be in there when I'm not doing my program, checking that out. As I said, highs across the board. We might get a Dow. We might get a Dow all-time high with the Dow within reach right now. Thanks so much for tuning in. Starting your day with me, folks. Stay tuned. We got our man Basil Chapman coming up next with the Tiger Technicians Hour. Live programming all day at TFNN, folks. Stay tuned.